Hey everyone from Certificate Group, Worcester Sixth Form College. This is Keel, and I'm going to take you through the concert scenario that we've had. The concert scenario resembles some of the sample assessment material that's available on the Pearson's website, but it's with slight variation to it. So the first task that we've got to do is the import and normalization of the data. Now, in the beginning of this problem, you were presented with a database without any primary keys or foreign keys, and you would have previously had to have created those. So moving from that point onwards, it's quite obvious that this database has all of its associated fields close together. So for example, when concert ID starts, everything related to it follows it, because we've completed that normalization process and that jumbling up. So when you go into the exam, one of the things that you'll get given is a text file, and the text file will be a CSV. Now, this is also a CSV, concert database CSV, but we've opened it up in Excel, and Excel has imported it based on comma delimited values. Now, we went through that previously. So from here, it gives you a good visual aid to start the normalization process. So just as a tip for you guys, take all the relevant columns and basically put them into a color coding, and what that'll do is it will visually give you a clue as to what fields belong to which tables. So I'm just going to do that now. The import process that we follow is slightly different from the import process that Pearson's teach, and or a lot of other teachers use. And the point of this is so that you can validate your fields as you import them in. So what we do is we create a new database, and we're going to go into design view of our first table, and then referring back to our data, this is going to be the venue table. So, we're going to go into Access, and using naming conventions, venue TBL, we're going to start designing it. Now, one advantage that this method allows us is, as opposed to append queries, well, you can do it with append queries, but you can directly import into an auto number field. So what I just did then was Alt-Tab, which is quite an easy shortcut. I'll try and do it a bit more slow time so that you can pick up on it. So I'm going to take my venue ID there, I'm going to copy it, and go back to my field, double-clicking to select all, Alt-Tabbing. So this is a little bit of a time-consuming process. I'll do one table and then skip a video. Okay. So we've just done one table now for that same method. You're going to create a new table. So go to create and then table design, and then I'm just going to proceed with creating all the other tables using the same method. So see you in a minute. Okay, welcome back. What we've just done is created all the different tables relevant to this task. So other than the creation of the tables and the fields, we haven't done any data types yet. So we're just going to go through that now. So open up band table, go into design view. Now band ID, auto number, goes without saying, band name, short text. Please determine a field size. Needs to be less than 255 characters. The purpose of this is to streamline the data, use less memory, and use less hard drive. The examiner will mark you down if you don't determine a field size. Sensible size, 50 characters. Just do that as a default moving forward. There's no input mask for band name. It's caption, no caption per se. And there is no default value for band name. There's a validation rule, is not null, so we want to make sure that the data is inputted, and as it is not null, we need to specify to the user validation text that will appear when they fail to enter the text in. So please enter a band name. Required, yes. Allow zero length, irrelevant, and all the rest of it is irrelevant. So moving onwards, again, 50, input mask none, default value none, validation rule, please enter a band genre. Okay, excuse me, is not null. Please enter a band genre. Required yes. Okay, so that's that table done. Remembering to save and close all. So concert table, going to design view, concert ID auto number long integer, venue ref. Now remember the naming conventions that we're using as a class. Ref for foreign key, ID for primary key. Some classes use venue ID as opposed to ref as a suffix. The point of using ref is so that you don't get confused during the queries, and it's just a general naming convention. Remember on your ERDs and data dictionaries to italicize the text and put a star at the end of it. So all foreign keys are going to be numbers. Your data type is, or field size is long integer. Default value 0. Validation rule. Please enter a venue reference. Oh, doing it again. Putting in validation rule instead of validation text. So we'll leave that alone. Band reference. Okay, short text, change that over to number. Go to band reference again, validation rule. Please enter a band reference. Oh, all over the place today. Clearly not reading properly. Okay, date time start. Obviously, use your common sense here. Date time start is going to be a date time. Data type, no format. Input mask, not relevant. Caption, default value, not relevant. Validation rule is not null. Validation text, please enter a concert start time and date. Required yes. Okay. Date time end, again, date time, date time, validation rule is not null. Validation text, please enter the end time of the concert, end time and date. Required yes. Moving on, save and close. Customer table, design view. Got no foreign keys in this one, but we do have to maintain field sizes, validation rules, validation text. You get the idea for validation text and validation rules. I'll do those separately and then we can skip ahead, but making sure to do all the relevant field sizes. Okay, so email, 50 characters is a sensible length. Your input mask, okay, let's see if I can remember this. If I can't remember it, then you're going to have trouble unless you revise. So you can go into little ... here, and you may find it in the template. Sometimes it comes up, sometimes it doesn't, but at the moment it's not coming up. So input mask is not null, and like star being a bunch of optional letters, at optional letters dot optional letters, and oops, and not like wildcard. Oh, excuse me. Let's see if this validates correctly. Oh, do you know what? All over the place today. Validation rule, not input mask. Okay, let's see what happens. Right, there is an error there. I believe it's that. There we go. Okay, so again, obviously highlights the point that you really need to revise these input validation rules. Okay, so is not null. So the email address is not missing, and it is like the following pattern. So any number of optional letters followed by an @ followed by any number of optional letters followed by a dot, any number of optional letters, but not like a colon, or rather a semicolon and a comma, because they are invalid characters. Validation text, please enter a valid email address. You could put stuff like which includes an @ and domain. If you're going to get technical. Required, yes. Okay, so save that and close. Go to the next one. Design view. References, again, must be numbers. And by default, generally speaking, it will turn it into a long integer, so you don't have to worry about that so much. Price is going to be a currency. And just fill out all the relevant other fields as required. I'm not going to go through them all, just the important ones. So postcode then. Field size is 8. Your input mask is mandatory letter, optional letter, mandatory number, optional number, an oblique followed by a space, which means it must have a space, mandatory letter, mandatory number, mandatory letter, mandatory letter. As close as it gets, really. So, validation rule is not null. Validation text, please enter a valid postcode. Required, yes. Okay, so in a minute we'll move on and we will cover the import process. Just a quick point about foreign keys then. If you have a default value of 0, what that does is it inserts the value of 0 into the cell. However, the user will actually be able to delete that default value because it is just a placeholder. So if you want to put a validation rule on there of is not null, then that's okay, so long as the condition exists where your relationships are, for example, following a left join or a right join. More information on that will be explained later.